Hi, I'm Burniston, and today I'm going to show you how to do the interior of this card, which uses the Bigz circle and ribbon platform die. This die will work in an A2 sized card, but for this card I decided I want to go a little bit bigger, so I've taken a folded 6x6 card and I'm going to use an on the edge die to make a file tab edging to the side of that. That'll bring it down to about 5 inches wide by 6 inches tall when it is folded. I've already created a tag that's going to go on the front of this card, and so I'm going to mimic a little bit of that styling on the card's interior. I've cut 2 pieces of pattern paper, and I'm going to distress the edges and ink them, and then just use a tape runner to get them inside the card. Now, I do recommend that you cut the paper and line them up inside the fold versus trying to do a fold in a fold, which is actually very difficult. The circle platform is a big size die and it just has 3 pieces on it. And I'm going to do the platform itself out of the same black, and then I'll use a couple pieces of pattern paper over the little ribbon pieces. And then for the circle itself, I'm going to actually start with a post-it note. So I'll use a post-it note to cut that, and then I can cut all of those pieces at the same time because it is a Bigz size steel rule die. So now let's take a look at what came out. The platform portion is going to be cut out of that black color. And we'll fold that in just a second. And then I've got my 2 ribbon spiral pieces cut out of that pattern paper, and I can get rid of that little piece in the middle and get those apart. And then for the circle itself, I've cut it out of a post-it note, and what I'm really interested in is the negative space. So now I'll take another post-it note and move basically the sticky further out, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to now put that in place over the die again and stick it down over on the side, and then that allows me to lift that up and stick whatever I would like to cut underneath it. So it's basically just making a mask that allows me to know exactly where the item is going to be cut so that I can make sure that I get it positioned properly. So I'm going to take my little stamped images that I'd already prepared, and I'll just put that on the die so it's under the mask in the right position, and then I can run that right through the Big Shot machine, and I know that it's going to cut that embellishment that I want up on top of my platform just perfectly. I'm also going to take a second just to work that score that the machine has made so that the item will fold. I'm going to bring in that same blue paint color that I used on the front tag in my ribbon. So I've gone ahead and drug those through some paint and dried them, and then now I'll just hit them with a little bit of vintage photo distress ink. And then I think I'll also use that paint on the edge of my Celebrate circle. Okay, now it's time to construct the pop-up. Start with the platform itself. And what I'm going to do is fold that right up the middle, and I'm going to do it in the air so that those 2 rectangles will actually stick up in the air. So they don't get folded. When you fold the rest of the piece, they're going to stick up. Now there is a little score line right there at the base of that little rectangle, and you'll fold that as a valley, and then you'll do the same on the other side. So in this case, I'm folding texture to texture on those 2 folds that on the bottom. What that allows it to do is fold up flat, and then I'll just use a tape runner to install that inside the card, and the scallop circle will then come together and there'll be a tent in the middle. So I've got one side in lined up in the fold of the card, then I'll take my tape runner all over all that little flat area, and I'll bring it across the fold and line it up on the other side. It is so simple to put this in the card. It just makes that little tent, and you've got those 2 little tabs sticking up. So a little bit of adhesive on those 2 tabs, make those sticky, and then your embellishment piece, the circle, the fold goes right over the top of the fold, and I just kind of let it expand and hit those tabs. Then when I fold the card, it'll really seal the connection. For the ribbons, use some mini glue dots on the top of the outside end of the ribbon, and then the bottom of the other end of the ribbon. So those glue dots that are there are going to allow it to attach up underneath the circle, and then the other end of the ribbon has adhesive underneath it, so that when the card is closed, it's going to press that end of the ribbon right down to the page and keep it there, and that will make it expand. You do the same thing on the other side. There's glue dots on the top of the outside end of the ribbon and underneath the other end, so that then when you close the card, it attaches that spiral ribbon in the right position and it will expand. It also helps keep the Celebrate circle open nice and wide. I thought it'd be fun to put another bird on the inside of the card as well, so I've stamped the solid smaller bird onto the craft cardstock, and then now I'm going to roll it across my StazOn ink so that I can get just the outline of the bird onto some transparency. Then I can add some glitter between the layers and put that together with a stapler. And then getting it inside the card is just a matter of using either some glue dots, or in my case I used a little tiny attacher and then just kind of colored in the staples with black so that they would not be as visible. For the front of the card, I'm just going to add that tag that I've already made, and I'll use some strong adhesive to get that on there. And then inside, I'm just going to stamp that little Happy For You greeting in the lower right corner to finish off the card's interior. I really like the circle platform die because it adds a lot of wow inside the card, but it's really easy to put together. It goes together so quickly and it has no theme. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can always find pop-up ideas on my blog, KarenBurniston.com. Thanks for watching.